Hi guys, this is New Sensei. This is the second part of my series on how to buy your first bow. This series and this video in particular has been supported by huntingbow.com, who has kindly provided the equipment that will be showcased in this tutorial. Buying your first bow, like with buying your first car or your first house, can be both an exciting and terrifying moment. Many first-time buyers will go through phases of uncertainty and regret. Am I buying the right thing? What if I make a mistake? While there are some complex steps, the actual process of buying a bow is not that hard once you understand what you need to look for. This video will go through a live demonstration of how to buy a bow. Firstly, let's address an immediate question. Should you buy in person or online? Let's compare the two options. There are two main advantages in buying from an actual store location. The first advantage is that you can see all of the product on the shelves. This means that you can not only see the range of options you have in front of you, often you are able to physically handle it. Shops will normally allow, if not encourage you, to try before you buy. Especially with your first bow, much of your judgment comes from look and feel. The second advantage is that you get immediate customer service. The shop staff are able to help you with any questions or concerns. Even if you know nothing about bows, they can guide you through the process of making the right selection. Not only that, they will also get your measurements so that you have the right bow, arrows and accessories so that you are ready to use your bow as soon as you walk out of the door. There are a couple of disadvantages. Firstly, you may not have the wide range of options. Many archery stores are fairly small and will only stock certain brands, models and products. Stores are often specialized, preferring to deal in outdoor hunting items, traditional gear or mainly compound bows. For this reason, it can often be hard for someone shooting a different style to get the right service. Even if the shop orders items in, they may lack the expertise to help you with your purchase. The second disadvantage is that there might simply not be a store near you. This is a big problem for the majority of people, whether because the nearest store is over an hour's drive away or even the fact that your country doesn't have any archery stores. In that case, buying online may be your only option. Before we discuss online buying, there are a couple of myths that I want to clarify. The first is the advice that you should never buy your first bow online. As someone who never actually bought a bow in person, I'll say outright that this is utterly false. Doing a blind buy can be scary, but if you know what you need to get, there is nothing wrong with buying online for the first time. The second myth is that you should never buy off eBay or Amazon. This one has some validity. These two sites, among others, are go-to places for impulse buys looking for the cheapest gear, and they're flooded with positive reviews. The advice is more to guard you against buying the wrong thing. Many sellers will provide vague or misleading descriptions that make you think that you're buying a one-size-fits-all bow, and you end up with buyer's remorse when you find that you can't actually use it. Additionally, you get zero support when buying from Amazon or eBay. You get the product plastic wrapped and sent in a box, but it's not set up for you to use. Seeing people turn up to my club with their new Chinese knockoff compound bow still in the plastic without a clue as to what to do is actually rather sad and avoidable. This doesn't mean that sites like eBay are bad. Many stores have their own eBay store and you can find good deals, especially on used equipment. If you know what you're looking for, then it's a good option. If you're impulse buying, I strongly suggest that you buy from a professional archery store. The main advantage of buying online is that you have options. You can shop around more easily from different stores. Some stores are more easily accessible and offer better shipping rates or carry certain items that you are looking for. The second advantage is, of course, convenience. You can order things from home and get it shipped to your doorstep. Again, if you know exactly what you're looking for, this is a better option if you can't get to a store easily in person. If you don't know what you're getting, this can be tough. While many online stores do offer customer service such as through online chat, email or phone, it's pretty hard to get a good idea of what you're meant to be getting if you know nothing. You don't get to see what you're getting and you can't get measured up for the right equipment, so you need to make all the choices yourself. If you want to buy in person, it's much easier for you to walk in with a vague idea and walk out with a bow. Buying online is a little harder. The remainder of this video will walk through what you need to do to make a good purchase through an online shop. Note that for the purposes of this tutorial, I am assuming that you are buying a basic takedown recurve bow like this one. If you're looking for something else like a compound bow or a traditional bow, some of this information may not apply to you, and you will need to make sure you buy the right gear for your style and discipline. As I mentioned earlier, huntingbird.com is the sponsor for this tutorial, so I'll be using their website to demonstrate how to buy a bow. As I mentioned earlier, I'm assuming that you are buying a basic recurve bow. Most stores will stock at least one brand of entry-level bow that is low in cost and suitable for beginners. Brands include the Core Pulse, the SF Optimo Plus, the Samick Polaris, and in the case of huntingbird.com, they sell the OMP Adventure 2.0. This is the lowest price bow in their range and is the ideal bow for beginners. You may also see the other bows they have in stock, such as the OMP Explorer 2.0 and other hunting style bows. Now, notable on this page, you can buy the bow separately or you can buy the bow in a package, and this is a crucial choice. Packages will usually have all the things that you need to start shooting, and the price of the package will either reflect the quality of the bow or the number of accessories you have. In this case, I see the OMP Adventure 2.0 has the basic package and the deluxe package. Let's take a look at the deluxe package. This is the deluxe package offered by huntingbird.com. Compared to the beginner package, you get a lot more stuff for about $70 more. What do you get in this package? In the package, you get the following items. You get the bow itself, which is in this case the Adventure 2.0 from OMP. This is a fairly typical beginner level recurve bow. The bow contains the string, the wooden riser and the limbs, which are wooden fiberglass. You get a set of 6 arrows, in this case the gold tip traditionals, which are carbon with feathers. You get the bowstringer, arrow rest, several knocking points, a basic finger tab, arm guard, belt, quiver, a sleeve for your bow, and the arrow points. All these items are listed here in the description. It is worth noting that most stores will ship the items as is, although you may have the option to customize if you request it. Additionally, if the shop is out of stock, they may replace certain parts or even upgrade you if you're fortunate. This package literally contains everything you need to start archery and more, where you can start with less, such as in the basic package. This contains everything you probably need to shoot safely and conveniently. So if you were to buy this particular set, you would do the following things. The first thing you do is pick your length. This is the bow length. Now, the size depends on how big you are. Now, I've covered this topic in different videos. There are charts you can look at, but these charts kind of ignore the reason why you're buying a bow. So I'm going to give you the basic version. The 48-inch and the 54-inch bows are probably more suited for kids. The 48-inch bow particularly is a junior size bow. The 54-inch bow is probably meant for teenagers. For adults, you're probably more suited for the 62 or the 68-inch bows. The 62-inch bow is probably the average for a beginner bow. Everyone can use this bow, but if you're a particularly tall person, you might go for the 68-inch bow. That's probably the more comfortable one. Now, if you buy any size, it's still usable, but the bigger you are, the less comfortable the smaller bows will be, and that's for a particular reason, which I'll discuss in a different video. Once you've picked the length, then you pick the hand that you use the bow with. Now, for archery, the hand is the hand you use to pull the string back. It's not the hand you hold the bow in. So I draw the string with my right hand. I am a right-handed archer. I hold the bow in my left hand. So in this case, I'm buying a right-handed bow. And again, just remember, it's not the hand you hold the bow with, it's the hand you hold the string with. Now the draw weight's very important. Now for this beginner set, it only comes in low draw weights. If you buy a different bow, like a hunting bow or from a different store, you may find the draw weights go from 20 to 30, 45, even 60 pounds for a hunting bow. You kind of want to start lower. It's a very big issue in archery where people start way too high. A lot of people will think it's a macho thing. Bigger bows, heavier bows means more manliness. You've got to resist the urge. Now the trade-off is between something that is too easy compared to something which you can grow into. Now I generally recommend that you don't buy more than 30 pounds for your first bow. This assumes, by the way, the 62-inch bow. The different bow sizes will have a slightly different rating, but let's assume 62-inch. I prefer a 25-pound bow in this set because it's the perfect trade-off between an easy way to learn with compared to shooting a bow that actually feels pretty good. 28 pound is still pretty good. 20 pound is quite good for absolute beginners or juniors, but 25 is probably, in my opinion, the average that an average person can handle. So let's do that. The arrow service. Now, not all stores offer this, but you can do this. If you want to cut your arrows down and have the inserts installed for you, then you can pay an extra fee to get it serviced by the supplier. If you know what length to get, you can choose the actual length. Otherwise, you can leave it as is. It's not that important, by the way. If you're doing a proper tune for your bow, or you know your exact draw length, you can do this. Normally, the arrow length is 1.5 inches longer than your draw length. But if this confuses you, this isn't so important for your first set of arrows. Your finger tap size, basically just imagine the size glove you have. Small, medium, large, extra large. It's not too important for this particular finger tab, but if you want a comfortable fit, then pick the size which best approximates your hand. Okay, so I'm a medium hand size, so that's probably the best fit for me. The arm guard color is purely cosmetic, black, red, blue, pink, whatever, doesn't matter too much. And same the quiver, it's a cosmetic thing, black, red, blue, or pink. Finally, how many you want. You probably just want one bow, but if you're buying this for the kids or for your significant other and yourself, you might want to buy it too. And that's the process of buying a bow from a package. Now, if you really don't know what you're doing and you just want a bow, this is the safest method. You can get a functional bow that works for you with the right accessories without having to try it yourself. This is really that easy. It's not as scary as you might think it is, and it's not as scary as people make it out to be. This is 100% safe buy and it works. There are, however, some disadvantages. The big one is, with packages like these, you may not be able to customize things the way you want to. And if you want particular items, you may have to buy things separately. So, if you want to buy a bow that's not in a package, or you want to buy things separately because you want particular items, the process becomes a bit more complex. Now, one of the advantages of this package is that you actually can see the sort of things that you would need, so this can form a checklist for you. So while you may change your items, you at least know what you are getting. So let's actually buy and shop around for a bow that we want. I'm assuming that this won't be in a package. There are lots of packages on this website, but let's say I want the Jaguar's very popular, Jaguar Elite from Martin. There is a Martin Jaguar set, or there's Martin Saber set, but let's say I want the Martin Jaguar Elite. This is a very popular bow. So you don't have to package, but you do get the recommended items sometimes. But let's say I want this particular bow, Martin Jaguar, very popular bow. and let's buy this 200 US bucks. So draw hand. It's only a right-handed bow, by the way. the Martin Jaguars only come in right-handed for some reason. There is no left-handed version. Draw weight. Now this is a more advanced hunting style bow. There is no low draw weight. This is very important if you're buying a bow from scratch. I don't recommend more than 30 pounds for your first ever bow. You only get these if you know what you're doing and you have some experience. If you do want a high draw weight, start low and work your way up. But let's say I actually do want a high draw weight. Let's say I want a 40-pound bow. I've done enough practice to use a 40-pound bow. So I have the bow. That's basically it. Add the cart. That's easy. Alright, so that's the first step. Next, I want some arrows. That's probably obvious. So we go to accessories, we go for arrows. The arrows are probably the hardest thing to buy because there are so many arrows, different materials, different brands, different costs and all that. It's quite hard to know what you want to get. In fact, there is something very important about arrows, and that is spine rating. And this is something that I can't cover in one video because this is the most complex thing. The best way I can do this is to say this. Let's say I'm gonna go with the gold to traditionals because actually any arrow can work. I'm currently using the gold to traditionals. They're fairly good price. They're pretty affordable for what you what they get. Basically, the more expensive arrows are straighter, and basically they'll fly better for you. The cheaper arrows don't have the same straightness or quality control. They'll still function, so you can buy very cheap arrows. The thing that's going to throw you off is the spine rating. Now, this is how it basically works. The larger the number, the softer the spine. That means the arrow will flex more, and I'll talk about this in a different video. But basically, the higher your draw weight, the smaller the number you want. The smaller numbers means a stiffer arrow. A higher draw weight will better match a stiff arrow, whereas a low draw weight will match a softer arrow. There are charts you can look up. In fact, I might find one right now. So what I've done here is I've googled the manufacturer name and arrow chart. You can do this for any manufacturer. In this case, Gold Tip. They've got a couple of charts. You can find these charts which have the spine rating in the table itself, or you have this kind of chart which has a key with the spine ratings on the side. You find it for any brand name, like Eastern, for example, have their own arrow charts. You can find them for Carbon Express. Any arrow you want, there'll be a matching chart, which they function very similarly. If you look at the Gold Tip one, which is the easiest one to look at right now, they provide the instructions for you. The first step is to find your draw weight in the chart. That's on the left hand side. I've chosen a 35-pound Martin Jaguar. Now do bear in mind that the actual draw weight on the fingers depends on your draw length. These charts don't factor it in, but it'll give you a close enough figure for the most part. So 35 pounds on my Martin Jaguar. I now need to match the right bow. Now a compound bow is a bit more efficient than a recurve bow or a traditional bow, so make sure you're using the right chart. So traditional bow for me, 35-pound arrow length is the thread of the nock to the end of the insert. Now as I said before, the typical length of an arrow for the average person is about 1.5 to 2 inches longer than your draw length. Now my draw length, as I've measured, is around 26 inches, so I will round up to a 28-inch arrow. That gives me a 1 rating in this chart, which matches to a 600 spine. And if I go to my shop again, if I go to the Gold Tip Traditionals, and by the way, this is one of the factors in which arrow you buy. Now if I want a fairly good match to my arrows, I will have to pick what's available. Let's say I go to the Gold Tip Hunter arrows, which are a very popular entry-level brand, and I'll check the Gold Tip Traditional arrows. The Gold Tip Hunter arrows have only go up to 500 spine, so these are generally stiff arrows that don't come in softer variants. So if I want a 600 spine arrow, I can't use these. Whereas the Gold Tip Traditionals do come is 600. Those come in 340, not 300. So one of the factors in which arrow you buy is which spine you can choose from. Certain spines are more common, others not so much. So if I want a good match for my 25-pound bow, I would buy the 600 spine gold tip traditionals. The spine rating isn't that essential for your first buy. In fact, your first set of arrows will rarely be perfect. The only way to get a good tune with your bow is to do some bare shaft tuning or paper tuning or French tuning. There are different methods. So when you get more advanced and you care more for accuracy and precision, that's when you probably will buy a second set of arrows, which will be better matched for your bow. If you're just starting out, this is close enough. It's worth mentioning that if you're buying from a set, they usually give you fairly stiff arrows, like the 500s, because they assume that eventually you will grow into your bow by a heavier draw weight and therefore get a closer match. It's generally easy to get a stiffer arrow than to get an arrow that's too soft for you. So just keep that in mind. It's not that important, but if you do care enough to get a perfectly straight flight, then you might want to look these charts up. The Eastern charts are here, gold tip or any brand that you want, and pick appropriate arrows. The other thing I should mention is that again, mostly you get stiff arrows. For a 25-pound bow, which is what I recommended earlier for the OMP, you may find that the draw weight, the spine rating should be closer to around 1,000, to 1,100. You actually need very soft spine arrows. And the problem with a lot of the traditional hunting stores is that they don't stock arrows that low. If they can't find any. The answer's probably not. I don't recognize any brands here which stock really thin arrows. There's a 600 spine for Victory youth arrows. It's quite hard to find. You might find them in more specialized sports stores which have youth arrows, but you find that the slightly stiffer arrows are okay. For the record, the 500 spine arrows which I got from this kit are better suited for my 45-pound Samick Sage, more so than my 25-pound OMP Adventure. So it's not a bad thing. You still shoot okay at close distance, and you will learn to shoot with stiffer arrows. If you want a perfect match, that's what you do. You find these charts, you find your draw weight and your arrow length, and you pick the right spine for your particular bow. So 6 arrows, I want one quantity, which is a pack of 6. You can buy them in dozens, but I just want 6 arrows. Add to cart, that's it. On a side note, you can find calculators for your spine if this is too hard for you. And you find apps for your mobile phone which can calculate the spine for you as well. Now, since we're on that topic, when you buy arrows that are pre-made, they are usually pre-fletched and they have a knock already installed. You will need to buy things separately. You will need to buy inserts separately as well as points separately. You can buy broadhead if you're hunting, but I'm assuming this is your first bow, you don't need broadhead, so you can buy points. In this case, it recommends this field point. This is what I'll get actually, since I'm right here. Now, which one you pick can also be very confusing. Again, this doesn't matter too much for your arrow. Now, certain arrows have recommendations. You can go with that. So if I go to the gold tip traditionals, hopefully it takes me back to the page, and it does. It might tell you the recommended weight. So it includes knocked and inserts, so you don't need to buy separate inserts. If it doesn't, you may have to buy them separately, but in this case it does. It comes with feathers already fletched. Again, if you buy a bare shaft, you have to buy the things separately, but most traditional stores will at least have these things pre-made for you. I do need points though, so the points, a heavier point will make your arrows softer, a lighter point will make it stiffer. There are certain recommendations. I'm trying to find where they are right now. You can actually Google it actually. So if you see, if you go to Google, we go to gold tip traditionals recommended point weight, you might find it. Normally there are charts for this, and you can find this in either the shop itself, or you might find it on the manufacturer website. You see here the traditionals, yep. Recommended point weight 100 to 150 grams depending on the spine. So this I'm buying the 600s. Recommended point weight 75 to 150. So I can pick any of these. Again, for your first set, it doesn't matter too much. Remember points. I'll buy them points separately. Okay. Points. So arrow points. You can pick several different kinds. The points are fairly standard. The thing with points is that these traditional arrows, you can replace the points with broadheads or any other point you want. I just want a simple field point. The one I want here is this one here, the Saunders combo point. It comes in a 12 pack. I've got 6 arrows. So if I bought 12, this is perfect, but I've got 6 spares then. The recommended point weight is 75 to 150. It doesn't matter. Oh, by the way, this is great. It shows you which bushings and intents to use. If you do need to replace your knocks or your points. But anyway, the point for 600 spine arrow, 75 to 150 grams. So let's go straight in the middle, 100 grains. That's probably enough. You can pick the shaft diameter. In this case, the shaft diameter is I'm not too sure. Alright, I've had to jump to a different website to grab the information I need. I've googled gold tipped shaft diameters. I've jumped to 3 Rivers, which is another great site which has supported me in the past. They have a table with all the information you need. So the gold tipped traditional carbon shafts, all the shafts use 5/16 of an inch point. So when buying the point, I'm going to grab the 5/16 inch, not the 932 default. So that's my next order, 1 dozen combo points. And sometimes you have to really look around to find the information you need. A good store has everything you need on one page, but sometimes a Google search will bring up the result that you need. So just to keep in mind that these things are really useful. If you can't find it in one place, you can find it somewhere else. So just to recap, I have my bow, I have my arrows, and my points. This is the hardest part of buying a bow online without any help, and hopefully you've seen how it's done if you're doing a blind buy. Again, this won't be perfect, but it doesn't matter, it's close enough to get you started. It's very important to note that if you're buying pre-fledged arrows, they usually come with vanes, nocks, and inserts already installed or provided for you. You just need to buy the points separately. If you're buying a bare shaft, if you're buying the shaft separately, you need to buy every component. That's vanes, nocks, points, insert, and shaft. So to make things easy, you can buy them factory made with just points separate, but just keep in mind that if you're not buying factory made, you will have to buy things separately. The rest of the shopping is actually quite easy. Since the hard part is the bow and the arrows, we can just go through the list and buy what we need. We do need an arrow rest. Now do check the product carefully. Some bows do come with an arrow rest, others don't, and which rest you use depends on your need: hunting, bow fishing, or basic. In this case, I just want a basic rest. I believe the Jaguar has a rest already, but let's say I'm buying a different bow under rest, this will be it. Otherwise you can shoot off the shelf using the rugs, but let's say I want a basic rest. Again, I'm not sure if the Jaguar has one. I'm pretty sure it does, but I'll buy another one anyway. So I'll grab this basic plastic rest. That's fine. Right hand, I'm a right-handed shooter with right-handed bow, so that's one more thing to list there. We can buy a bow stringer. You can string a bow by hand. I do have a video showing how to do so, but it's much easier and safer to use a bow stringer. All these things are very similar. They all cost a very similar price. I prefer this one, I guess, but it doesn't matter which one you use. They're all slightly different in design, but they function the same way. That's one bow stringer. Next, gloves and tabs and arm guards. So you can buy really nice tabs, by the way. You can buy gloves if you want traditional style gloves. You can buy the simple tabs. You can buy arm guards. The cheap tabs are like $10. I actually I love these tabs. The Cavaliers are really good solid tabs, or you can go for a glove. Let's go for a Cavalier tab, and I want an arm guard. I have this one already. This is a really nice tab. Let's say I want this simple tab. This arm guard is very easy to use, so I'll click on them. So that's a size. I've got medium sized hands, so that's one elite tab. A great target tab. If you're shooting field, by the way, a glove might be better for you because tabs can be dropped and lost, whereas gloves are on your hand. But I'm not shooting field, I'll go for a tab, and I'll grab this arm guard. So that's basically one size fits all. So that's 2 more things on my list. Okay, next I want to get let's see, quivers. You don't need one, but since we're buying, let's buy a quiver. Let's grab, you can buy back quivers, target quivers are really nice. You can buy simple quivers as well. Let's go for something quite simple. Let's I'm going for one of these quivers, a typical target quiver. You do need a belt for this one. Just do keep in mind that these don't come with belts. Oh, the pink one's here. Alright, pink one, yay. I'm not actually buying this, by the way. I just want to buy pink just for character. I noticed it's coming pink. That's cool. So I'll buy that one. I do need a belt, so go back twice. There we go, belt. You can use any belt you want. You can use your own belt, but since I don't have a belt, I'll just get one of these. Belt, done. Okay, that's cool. Anything else we need? If you want sights, you can buy sight stabilizers, yes. Targets, yes, if you want to. But basically, my kit right now is everything that was in the set before, except I've chosen different objects or different items. I have my Jaguar, arrows, points, wrist, bowstringer, tab, arm guard, quiver, and belt. That is everything that was in the original package. If you check the package right now, in fact, let's look at this saber package, which is very similar. It comes with a case too, by the way, which I don't really need. But if you look at this kit, it doesn't say anything here. Oh, we'll check the other kit here. We'll check the deluxe package for the OMP adventure. You see everything on there. I do have the rising limbs. I have arrows. I have bowstringer, arrow rest, knock points. I can buy separately. I can use a string to do this, but if I want to buy knock points, I'll do that separately. I can buy the finger tab, which I have, arm guard, belt, quiver. I don't need sleeve, I have points. So I've got everything here in my list. So if you need a checklist, this is a good checklist to have. You need all of these items in some way, either these exact items or something similar. Otherwise, yes, I'm basically done. So in my version of my shopping cart, I'm spending what, 360 US for a kit which is more customized. Do I need all of this? Well, I do actually. Do I need this quality? No, I don't. But some of these are luxury buys, others are things which I basically need. So that's me buying a bow from scratch. To sum up, you can buy things separately if you know what you're doing and you're more confident in your research, or if you don't know what you're doing, buy a package. This concludes my tutorial on how to buy a bow from scratch online. Again, thank you to huntingbow.com for providing the materials used for this walkthrough. In the next episode, I will go through what to do when you finally get your bow sent to you and how to set up for your first shot. This is New Sensei, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.